Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to Inspo with Tina. Thank you so much for stopping by. Now this is actually one of my favorite topics, so let's get started. Alright, so lately I've been thinking a lot about relationships and how the relationships we have, whether they're romantic or in the workplace or a business partner or even a friendship, all of these relationships are meaningful to us, and as the social beings that we are, we have relationships at every cornerstone of our lives. You know, we have someone that we feel like we can rely on at work and at school and at home. Regardless of where you are, you know you have that friend that you can count on, or that peer in your office that you can count on. But I think the biggest struggle that we face today is maintaining these relationships. We live in a time where relationships seem to be disposable. Say a friendship is going through a rocky patch, instead of trying to fix it and really valuing that relationship enough to mend things, people just kick those people off to the side and throw away those meaningful relationships. I am not one to do that. I really like to maintain the friendships that I have. I really value the people that have been put into my life. But I get it. We live in a society where when things get hard or friendships or relationships get really hard to manage, you just toss them to the side and move on with your life. And this can be really damaging to us. The ones that are meaningful, we need to be able to hold on to those, because those friendships are the ones that are going to boost us to higher levels. So enough with the rambling. Here are 3 top tips that you can use to not only better strengthen the relationships that you already have, but also maintain the ones that you do have so that you don't fall into that trend. So here's a mistake that I see a lot of people make, including myself. One of the biggest sources of arguments in any relationship, whether it be at work or a significant other, is not always believing the best. When things get rough and you're having a hard enough time balancing your own positivity and your own life, it can be really easy to get overly frustrated with the relationships that you have. And a lot of times what people do is that instead of believing the best, if they pick up any type of suspicious factor from this other person, they will instantly assume the worst is happening. Either that they're being cheated on, or that their boss didn't like their presentation, or that they're getting a horrible grade in school. It's honestly our most flawed instinct is to automatically assume that everything is going wrong. And the thing is that the greatest gift that anyone can feel that they have is trust. And if you're constantly assuming the worst about somebody, they're not going to feel that they have your trust, and that is going to break a relationship. Now, of course, I'm not saying be naive. If there's a reason to have suspicions, then of course have them. But don't let that be your first impulse. If there's no reason for you to believe that everything is going wrong, then don't. Always believe the best in the person that you're with. Because it doesn't matter what the relationship is. It doesn't matter if it's only a friendship. When the trust is lost, the relationship crumbles. So believe the best and believe that that person has your best interests at heart. Otherwise, why would you have them in your life? Number 2 kind of ties into number 1, and it's don't make assumptions. Now what I mean by that is, like I was saying earlier, when you have those stressors in your life and you feel like everything's going wrong, it's an automatic reflex to automatically assume that something's going wrong in the relationships around you as well. What you have to realize though is that you can't put your own stressors onto somebody else. So if you're feeling stressed out, you're feeling vulnerable, don't put that self-doubt that you have about yourself and project it onto the people around you. Because by projecting that onto the people around you, you'll start to see puzzle pieces that aren't there, and you'll start fitting them together. And then you'll realize that all of those assumptions that you made were based on your own self-doubt that you had within you. So don't put out false projections. What you need to do is filter through your thoughts and really ask yourself, is this assumption that I have in my head based on valid facts? Or is it based on the situations and the feelings that I have within me right now? And if it's the second one, then you have to realize that that is a you problem and it's not a them problem. So don't project your negativity onto the relationships around you, because that's something that you need to deal with yourself. Now, what I like to call that is an emotional filter. You know, we constantly have things thrown at us, we're overwhelmed, and everything just seems to be piling up. It's so easy to lash out at people, and if we're being honest, sometimes it feels good. Sometimes it feels like by projecting all of your negative energy onto someone else, they can carry a little bit of that weight for you, and it's a little bit of a lighter load. But that is so toxic, and I know you know that. Don't freak out over nothing. Not only is this negative for you, but it is going to be what makes your relationships crumble. And who needs all of that stress anyway? That's stress that you are putting on yourself when you have enough, so don't do that. Now the third issue I've kind of already talked about, but we're going to say it again: trust. Trust is seriously the strongest foundation of any relationship. If you don't have trust with somebody, I don't know what to tell you. If you feel like you are genuinely losing trust within one of your relationships, these are 2 questions that you really need to ask yourself. First of all, trust is a conscious decision that we all make. Of course, it is based on how the person in our relationship is acting and whether they deserve our trust or not, but it's also a conscious effort. If you have barriers within you that make it hard for you to trust people, it's not always their fault that you don't trust them. Sometimes that's a you issue. Well, first of all, what you need to do is analyze, have I decided to trust this person based on valid reasons? And if there's a reason that you don't trust this person anymore, or you feel like you're losing trust, you need to address it with that person. Don't keep letting the thoughts circulate and making the puzzle pieces that you're creating in your mind get bigger and bigger until suddenly you have this humongous picture of something that you believe that they're doing when really it could be completely false. Have open communication and really see if there's trust that can be rebuilt. Because oftentimes once you start talking, you'll find that the trust really can be restored. And the second question you need to ask yourself is, if you feel like there's no means or no value in building that trust back up again, then you need to realize and decide that sometimes it's healthier to let people go. And as hard as that can be, you have to realize that if you can't trust somebody in your life with what you're doing, with your biggest secrets, with your feelings, and know that they're not going to take advantage of that, regardless of whether it's a friendship relationship or even a coworker relationship, it really doesn't matter. Trust needs to be there. And if it's not, then you need to be okay with letting people go and not saying yes all the time to the people around you. And that's all I have for you today, guys. Now remember, the 3 key most important things in any relationship is believe the best, don't always make false assumptions, and trust the heck out of that person. And if you can't, I think it's time to let them go. That's all I have for you today, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you like this, please like and subscribe down below for my new videos that will be coming out soon. And if you found any of this relevant to you at all, or if you feel like this helped you in your relationships that you have, please share it. I will see you in the next video, guys. Assalamu alaikum. Bye.